She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties.
I mean, John Stamos is sexy as hell, so...
These white men are dangerous.
Power through the smut.
That's what they do to animals in the zoo.
Mary Poppins, for Christ's sake.
Do not Google that.
All I know is I double tap on his Instagram pictures a lot. So.
It's librarian problems, whatever. You're not Molly.
Not today. Not this week.
So, besties, Molly is sick. She has the flu and is on the mend, but is still coughing a lot. So, Nurse Katie, our friend and honorary bestie, read a book in 2 days and filled in for her.
Yes, I did.
I don't understand the speed at which you read.
You know, I have just always been a fast reader, and like I even have the retention, which was amazing in grad school. And then also now that I can read a lot of smut, it makes my life better too. So
I can read smut quickly.
Yes. Yep. I can power through the smut. So
I wish I was a faster reader because I was basically an English major, and so I was often reading several books at one time because of my classes. And it was really difficult to keep up with the readings.
Yeah. I can remember.
So I didn't always.
In grad school, when I was in school for my nurse practitioner, it would be nothing to have to read 500 pages for 3 different classes. Mm-hmm. And like, you have to retain that. So I was like, thank you, Lord, for the speed reading ability. Like, thank you.
Like if I don't retain the stuff from grad school, like nobody dies.
Well, I mean, sometimes they still do with me. So.
Nobody's dying at the library. Like, I hope nobody's dying at the library.
Right. We got a whole nother sitcom to film if somebody's dying at the library, girl.
Right.
We're screwed. So.
Oh, man. We're going to do goodness words. So Molly was supposed to host this episode. She picked this book. She actually picked another historical fiction or romance. And I was like, look, if you're going to make me read historical romance, like a true bodice ripper, which I had never read before, at least can we read Bridgerton? Yeah. So Molly picked this and, at my request, and now she's not even here.
And then she punks out. So rude.
Yeah,
so rude.
So
she's lucky she was like literally in bed sick, or like I would be like, no, you're
right.
No.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do because she can't finish a sentence without coughing. So, so she was supposed to host this episode, but you're actually going to host this episode because
I'm so excited.
I read this book like over a month ago, and I'm not sure I even remember it.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited. So
I'm excited for you to guest host too. This is amazing. So do you want to give us a synopsis? I guess we didn't actually show the book. Can you show the book? I don't actually have a copy of it. So there's Bridgerton, the Duke and I. Yeah.
And it has the Netflix cover, which I did know that this was a Netflix series, but I didn't realize it was so expansive in the books too, that there are like literally one for all of the kids. So there's quite a few in the series. Yeah.
And so that's the intention with the next Netflix series too, is they're supposed to do 1 season per kid. But I also kind of find that creepy because like, are we really going to watch the little girl
I don't
and boy
want to see
like
Hyacinth
grow
and
up?
Gregory doing
right? Are we going to watch them grow up and then they're going to have steamy scenes? Because like I'm not here for that.
No.
They're going to have to recast because I'm like no.
That's awkward on so many levels. So
no, it'd be like watching the Olsen twins do sex scenes in a Netflix show.
Oh great, that's an image I want for the rest of the night. Thanks. Just rock me to sleep now for that one. I'm gonna be laying in bed like Steve will be over there snoring and I'm gonna be like, it's gonna be a weird Uncle Jesse montage with the Olsen twins in a minute too.
Oh, no, you had to take it to Uncle Jesse. No,
I mean John Stamos is sexy as hell. So
yeah, even at his age now, he is.
He still do it. Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I even wrote a synopsis, so I will totally
give us your synopsis.
Do the synopsis. Okay.
Yeah.
Anthony, Benedict, Colin, Daphne, Eloise, Francesca, Gregory, and Hyacinth, the Bridgertons. Children of the late Viscount and living Viscountess Bridgerton, they are the quintessential upper-crust English family in the 1810s. Our story follows the fourth child, Daphne. But don't worry, Quinn wrote books for all other 7 siblings and a novella for the mom. Daphne has always been seen as amiable to all the gentlemen of the ton. However, entering her second courting season, she is simply too honest and too unwilling to play the romantic games that captivate gentlemen enough for a marriage proposal. Enter Simon Arthur Henry Fitzranulph Bassett, Earl Cliveden, Duke of Hastings. And all God's children say thank you. Raised by a nanny after his father ignored him over a speech impediment, Simon enters Daphne's life after traveling abroad, a sworn bachelor to the death despite his deceased and estranged father. Daphne and Simon strike an unlikely, but is it really unlikely, agreement to fake a courtship to benefit both. Daphne by drumming up suitable males, and Simon by being avoided by the pushy mamas of the town looking to marry their daughters to a duke, the mamas. The plan works in the beginning, but Daphne and Simon both can't avoid their growing feelings for each other. After a twist of fate and hormones, Daphne and Simon are wed. However, will Simon's desire to end his family's line win over Daphne's love and desire for a family?
Yay. I mean, that was a very good synopsis. That
Thank
yay was
you.
not about you. It was about
That's
the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I asked, I said, Katie, are you sure that you want to read this book? And you're like, I never mind reading a book. And I was like, you may mind reading this one.
This just reminded me why I don't read these books. Like, yeah.
Right.
I mean, this is like literally the first one that I can recall of like a true bodice ripper. I know that I've probably read other ones before, but this is literally like the first one that I've ever read. I mean, I'm like,
yeah, me too.
It's just really not my jam at all.
Well, I've said this on the pod before. I only really started reading romance novels recently. It's only been like the past couple of years, and this is the first time I've ever read one that was a traditional bodice ripper historical romance. Yeah. I prefer contemporary romance. Funny thing is, I talked to this woman I work with. She's awesome. We talk books a lot. She's also an ACOTAR fan, which you and I are too.
Yes.
And she prefers historical fiction, historical romances. She's like, I don't want to hear about Twitter and Tinder. I have enough reality in my reality. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fair. But I don't know. I like it better. I really have a... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I really have a feminist issue with a lot of it. Like, I really hate
that's what I was going to say.
Women are treated.
Women are property in these, and I'm like, oh, hell to the no in a lot of things. Yeah.
And Molly and I have talked about that on here before as well. Like, that's what bugs me. Like, I can't. Yeah. We talked about that with The Midnight Bargain. Yeah. Or A Midnight Bargain. One of those. I just don't like that women are a commodity. And so that's where I really struggle with this. To me, it's not, oh, yay, he decided to marry for love and he picked her. It's like, that should have been the option to begin with.
Right. And that shouldn't have been like what led her to him was, oh, he's going to support me. Yeah, it's nice, but you got to do you too, boo. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of one of our questions in
my bad.
Our list. No, it's okay. So
I did read them. You'd think I didn't, but I did.
Yeah. All right. So to kind of start off, family and I are both, families are very important. To me, to you, I think we're both raising our families. So that's definitely, family is definitely something that comes up a lot in this book. Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about how Daphne's large, close, overly protective brothers, and then Simon's complete lack of a family. Like, did you like that dynamic of the two families? Did you like that counterpoint where he was alone and she had all of these siblings? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it was really an interesting way to like have Simon be, you know, somebody who had been alone most of his life. Because even though he had a dad, like his mom died in childbirth, and even though he had a dad, he wasn't raised by him. So he was pretty much alone most of his life. So I did think that was pretty interesting. Daphne's older brothers make me laugh, and I liked them. Not more than I liked them in the TV series, but I liked their dynamic in the book a lot. They were definitely to fault why Daphne wasn't getting dates.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that was more obvious in the show than it was in the book. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was that Simon hadn't ever really spent time with them.
Right.
And I guess maybe it was just because of that's the way things were, you know, back in the day. It's not like you were bringing your friend home for a sleepover if you were at boarding school. But he didn't really know them, but he was best friends with Anthony. So I would expect that they would have known each other.
Friends a lot.
Right.
And it's literally his first time meeting her when they're there at
he didn't even know who she was. Yeah.
If you're such best friends, and you know, now we can say, oh, well, of course you've seen a picture of him or whatever, but he would have, you know, if he was best friends with Anthony,
would have at least seen each other.
He would have spoken of her. He would have said, oh, my sister. And, you know, she looks exactly like us. And you know, like you would have, something in your brain would have clicked.
Well, and I feel like it's not, and I feel like it's not just that, but like the community of the Regency era.
Right.
They would have all known each other because it wasn't that large of a community.
Right. Yeah. And especially with having a child of the same age, you know, the Bridgerton mom, Violet, she would have been involved, or she would have known of this child. You know what I mean? Like they were all up in each other's business all the time. They knew the dad. They knew the, you know, they would have known this child. So, yeah. And
not to say that Viscount and Duke are like, you know, on the same, but they're both in the line.
They're all rich, fancy.
They're in the line. You would know the people in the line.
Right. Yeah. Just because you're further down the line don't mean you don't know who's at the front of the line. So,
and it's not that far down. I think that Duke is like one step up from Viscount. So,
and I think I didn't Google it. I probably should. Like, what actually a Viscount? Like, are they property owners? Because like a Duke, I feel like they have more. And this is all my historical knowledge from Outlander. Thank you very much. Not history class.
I'm still trying to get Molly to let me read that for the pod.
Oh, Outlander,
I loved it.
So good.
She doesn't want to read it.
That's unfortunate. She made you read Deb Harkness.
Right.
Just saying. Yeah. Anywho. So, yeah. So a Duke has more lands usually, but I don't know where a Viscount lands and all that. But obviously they're fancy. So.
Yeah. They're definitely someone with a title, and that was really enough back then.
That was all that mattered.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. So Simon,
you know that you insulted her favorite author.
I love those books. I read all of those books. I really liked them. I really liked them. Yeah. That chick, that heifer Molly, got on me to read those books, and then I got completely sucked in. I've read all 5 of them. They're great books. I love them. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, this isn't a conversation that we had last week where I think that maybe I just don't like fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, you and I have been texting about this because, like, side note for all of you listening, Katie and I are further in the ACOTAR series. Well, Katie is a book further than me. 2 books further than me? You're on the final book.
One. Yeah, my final book. Yeah.
And Molly has only read the first one, but Katie and I are fans now, so we're texting. Yeah. But I told you after this, like while I was reading the second book, like this book is way more fantasy, and I just want the romance. I think I don't like fantasy. I think that might be my problem.
I love fantasy. Yeah, like you haven't read all the Game of Thrones, have you?
I have no desire to read those. Listen, I watched like half of the first season of that and was like, this is way too much rape for me. Thank you very much.
Well, there's that, but there's dragons then too. So
okay, rape and dragons.
Rape and dragons.
If your trade for the dragons is the rape, I'm gonna say no.
Maybe reevaluate your priorities. All right. touche. I get it, but it's fun. I like Game of Thrones.
Although, I mean, Outlander gets a little rapey too, and I do like Outlander.
Mm-hmm.
A lot
it gets
rapey.
a lot rapey. Yeah, and it gets a lot violent. Like people don't realize, and I think too,
Outlander's very violent for sure.
Yeah, some of the later books, you're like, ooh, I might need.
So I've only read the first one, but I really liked it. But it's so lengthy, and like we just don't have time. I don't have time with the pod schedule to put in other books. Yeah. I'm doing that with Akatar because I just liked it so much. Outlander was really good, but I never say this. I don't judge me, but I feel like I'm just going to watch the show.
The show's so good. I mean, the guy that plays Jamie is... I heard he may be in the Hulu. Akatar.
I know! For Akatar? Oh my gosh.
Well, my gosh. If it's on HBO Max, I may pay for it. I may just not even steal my sister's HBO code. I might pay for it. That's how much I love that Sam. I can't think of what his last name is. Hugh or Hager. But
Hugh?
Yeah.
Hey? Something, yeah.
All I know is I double tap on his Instagram pictures a lot, so he'd be fine.
It's funny, though, because he's, like, got, green eyes and, like, a reddish hair, and, like, that's not my thing. Like, I like brown eyes a lot. He is very, very dreamy looking.
Yes, you do.
But I don't know if it's him or if it's his character, because Jamie Fraser is, like, he can get it.
Yeah. In the books, he gets it, even when he's old, like... Ooh, like at one point,
when he's old, what you said,
like in his 50s, like in the last book, he's like in his 50s, and you're still like, damn, boy, like he's still like Jamie Fraser do it, even in the books. But yeah, the books, the audiobooks are like 50 hours.
I listen.
Is so good.
Is it the same narrator for all of them? Because I listened to the first one,
the whole one. Yes, and that's
I listened to the first one while I was like working in an elementary school, and I just would have it playing because the elementary school was like, the library was closed. So I would just have it playing, and I'd be like working in the stacks, and people would walk in, and I would be like, pause.
Clutch my pearls.
It was never any students. Like, it was never any students. But like the teachers would walk in, and I'd be like, no, I'm not doing anything.
Where are my earpods?
Well, it's hard to do and have headphones on when you're shelving.
True. Because people like need you, and then they would tap you on the back, and then you would be scared. Yeah, I get it.
Well, that and they just like get tangled, or if they fall out. It's a whole thing. Yeah. It's librarian problems, whatever. All right, back to this book.
Okay. Well, this next question is about good-looking men, too. So we're going to go back to Simon. Nice. He's described as heart-stoppingly handsome, the perfect specimen of English manhood. Men wanted his opinion on any number of topics, and the women swooned at his feet. I felt myself rolling my eyes at some of these descriptions. Are you, as a romance fan... How did you feel about the description of some of these characters, and did these descriptions make you like the characters more or less? Or, I'm looking to your romance expertise here, because I like fairy porn. So, yeah. And dragons and rape, apparently. So
no, you do not.
I don't like the rape, of course, but I like the dragons. So, yeah.
Okay, gosh. Kate, just don't start, like, reading the, like, I was taken by T-Rex series.
I mean, my TBR is kind of long, so I might temper it. I might.
There's probably a dragon porn.
Oh, there's
because there's, like, T-Rex. Taken by T-Rex is a legit thing. I'll put a link for it below. It's real. Yes. I promise. So going back to what I said about like liking the dark eyes and the dark hair in the contemporary romance, like that's what they're writing. Emily Henry, that is her main man. He's got the brown eyes. He's got the dark hair. In this book, Simon has lighter features and Daphne has darker features.
Yes.
And so for me, he was not attractive. Like that's not where my brain goes. And frankly, I don't know that I really liked him either, but in the show, the guy who plays him in the show, I cannot think of how you say his name. It's French.
Yes, I have it in here. It's like Jean Rene, or where is it? Roger Jean Paget, I believe.
Ooh. Well, I've never really been able to properly say his name, but let me tell you, That guy is hot.
So good looking. And I
And-
think that was one thing too, like during these all these descriptions, they were describing him, and
Right.
that's all I could see though, like was
I
the
know.
Netflix characters. So
I know.
yeah.
And I know, like, okay, so we're gonna talk more about the show later, aren't we?
Yeah.
You want me to hold off on my okay. Well,
Sure.
This is what I have to say about the descriptions. Because it just drove me crazy. Like, I was so tired of reading the cliche descriptions. But I feel like if this is the genre that you like, you get what you came for. Like, this is your genre, you are definitely going to get it.
Yeah.
It's just not my genre.
Yeah. No, I didn't think of it that way because I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, women want to be with him. Men seek his advice. Like,
Right. But if you like this...
Tick, tick, tick. If you like those cliches, that's gonna work for you. I don't think it made me like the characters any less. I think it made me like the writer less.
Yeah.
Because I felt like because it was so cliche, I thought, you could probably do better. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, so there was an episode in August, and I know you listened to the pod, so I know you listened to this episode, when we had Alexa on from Cozy Blanket Reads.
Yeah, I watched that one. I was homesick with COVID, and I watched it on my TV. Yep, so I got to see all three of you guys up there and watch it. Yeah.
How do Molly and I look in HD? Because I'm not so sure.
Good. No, you looked great. Everybody looked super cute. It was fun to be able to like actually watch it and not have to like. I was still talking to you guys too, and you still didn't.
Of course you were. Of course you were.
When I was talking to you, but anyway,
Katie uses her Siri to text us while she's driving and listening to the pod.
And it's great.
Like, we know what she's talking about. We just have to assume. It's like, I don't know, Katie. I haven't listened to the episode.
Or because you guys film ahead. So for me, it's Tuesday. That's my Tuesday morning. Like, I get in my car, I put my coffee in, I take my kids to the bus. My kids know it's Pod Tuesday. As soon as I pull out onto my road, I turn on the podcast. So I'll like start talking to you guys, and you'll be like, what in the hell?
We're like, we filmed it 2 weeks ago. We don't even remember.
And then I like keep waiting for your response. I'm like, oh, they can't hear me.
Right.
And then my Siri messes up everything. So
yeah.
But,
well,
anywho, sorry.
So, Alexa said that she didn't say this in the episode, actually, now that I think about it. This is like a discussion we had with her off pod. She read this because she liked Bridgerton, and she didn't like it either.
Yeah.
And she said the only part of it she found interesting was the extra epilogue that was written after the whole series. That was the only part she liked, which was like the surprise pregnancy in her 40s, which I was like, no, thank you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Hard.
We are not doing that again.
No. Yeah.
Sam's very cute. He's a very cute 6-year-old. Sometimes I think to myself, oh, he's getting so big. But then I have babies at the library, and I'm like, thank you for going home. Because I don't want babies anymore.
We had a apple cider fest fun thing, and one of my friends bought her little guy, and I was holding him, and I thought, I forgot how fucking heavy babies are. Like when you have to hold them nonstop. Like, it's
all
hard
day.
on you.
You get those mom arms.
Yeah. I was like, I could be a grandma. Like, my kids, like, my oldest has a boyfriend, and I, like, as soon as they left, I said, I'm going to say this one time. If either of you bitches make me a young grandma, there will be war. Like,
there's a girl we went to high school with that's a grandma right now.
Shut the front door.
I'm not kidding. We'll talk about it.
You'll have to tell me that.
For those of you that don't know, who are not in the know, Katie and I have known each other since middle school.
Yes. So. Way back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah. All right. So you are the slow burn queen. Getting back to love a slow burn.
Fucking
do you feel like Simon and Daphne's wedding night was a slow burn, and do you feel like it was rewarding? I felt like it was this super hyped up fireworks show, and then like
it was definitely hotter in the show for sure.
So much hotter.
But it's funny that you asked this question, because if I can get it to come up on my Goodreads, I talked about that in my Goodreads rating.
Yeah.
So while we're here, I gave it a 2.5.
Oh, I gave it a 2 in my mental Goodreads. I don't have an actual Goodreads, but I have a mental Goodreads. So, yeah.
Okay. So it's not a typical slow burn with good banter where you root for the couple. It's just boring.
Yeah. After
Daphne and Simon got married, the book does pick up, but by then I didn't care.
I was bored. Yeah.
55% of the book before you get to anything spicy. And I don't really mind that because, like, I just finished the second ACOTAR book and chapter 55. Chapter 55.
I told you, I was like, stick with me, girl. Chapter 55 and chill. Chapter 55 and chill.
I saw a Netflix something on Etsy that said chapter 55 and chill.
Yes.
So I don't mind a slow burn. I love a slow burn, but this one didn't have witty banter. It was just like, I don't know, like coy Regency era nonsense. And the truth is, like, even though I was an English major, I haven't read a lot of classics. I don't like them. Yeah. I don't like the Jane Austens and the, like, I don't like that stuff. Same. So I was never going to like this.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was more like the series because the series is really hot.
Well, in the series, and like that scene when he's like, I burn for you. You're like, yes, boo. And then so I was like waiting for that. And I was like, oh, he burns for her. And I was like,
no.
Oh, it's done. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
In the Netflix series, he also like talks about her masturbating, right? He's like, what do you think about when you touch yourself? And then like that comes back up, and that's not in the book either.
No, and like that. So I think, and that kind of like dovetails off of a later question, but we can totally talk about it. Is like,
yeah, for sure,
how protected women were, and like the whole like the conversation with her mom. I think that might actually be my next question. No, but we can go to it. So like the lack of like just sex education and even just like knowing your own body was just like absolutely atrocious. And like the scene with her mom, I felt was really, I love Violet in the series. I think she's a great character. I love the actress who plays her. I have no idea what her name is. I've never seen her in anything else. I love her. I think she's great in that role. I don't think a mother of 8 with 4 girls, no matter what era it was, would have had that embarrassing of a discussion with their child. Like, you would be like, here's what it is. Like, you need to know. So that was, I was like, this is, I was so
I like that gets flipped at the end, that Daphne is open with her daughter. So
yes, I did love that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I had the opposite sex talk with my mom. When I was in 3rd grade, I think it was, we did the separate boys and girls, which I feel like 3rd grade is young, but like my son is a 4th grader this year, and he had girls in his class last year. He doesn't know this, but I do. He had girls that had already started their periods.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that makes sense. But when I came home from school that day, I told my mom, like, you know, we went in the separate rooms and we had this talk. And, you know, I remember very distinctly that I said, Mom, we have to have a talk. like 9-year-old April was gonna, you know, whatever.
How'd Carrie respond to that? I can only imagine Carrie
was like, let's learn all the things. She showed me what a condom looked like. I was absolutely terrified. They were huge. I was like, no, I am little. Those are big. No, thank you. But my mom was always very open about sex, and like so much so that, like, you know this about me. Maybe everyone else doesn't, although I do talk about being the good girl a lot on here. Like, I did not have sex in high school. I didn't have sex until I met Tom. So I was very much an adult at that point. Yeah. But when I had my first boyfriend, Adam, my mom was like, you know, if you change your mind, like, just let me know. We'll go get you on the pill. Like, there's no shame in it. Like, you have hormones. You love him. Like, there's no problem with it. So she was completely open with me. And like, I appreciated that. But also, I was the opposite of my mother. So I could have done with a little less knowledge.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less knowledge. Yeah. But I can't imagine, like, having been a woman at this time, and now you're telling your daughter about this on her wedding night, and then you can't even, like, prepare her because, I mean, they weren't necessarily getting married for love. They were getting married for breeding, right?
To have an heir. And, like, you need to know that sex can be very painful. Like, Yeah. Yeah.
But it can also be really great. And like,
Right.
I think the scene with her mom, it was kind of funny that her mom was like Daphne's like, so you did it 8 times then? And
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah.
no.
No.
I did it more than that. Why would you do it more than that? Well, because it feels good.
Because it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of had like a similar conversation with my girls. Like they have like the Care and Keeping of You books, and I adore those books. They're so good and they're just written so well. So like when we first had the like Your Body is Changing discussion, that's kind of where we went. And then Chloe was probably 7 or 8. Leah was, a year older than her, so little. And we had the Your Body's Changing conversation. And I remember we were driving and I had this rickety Kia van that the air conditioning didn't work. So you always had to roll the windows down. It was just the 2 front windows, and then the back ones opened this far. And I remember Chloe was in the way far back and Leah was in the middle. And Chloe basically asked, where do babies come from?
Oh gosh.
And
Yay.
I was like, what? And I remember her like yelling at me, where do babies come from? And I'm like, it's gonna have to wait till we get home. Because I didn't want to be like stopped at a red light and be like, well, the penis goes in the vagina, like in the middle of downtown Delaware with my babes in the back of the car. So we get home and I like busted it all out. And it was very like logistical. Like I needed to tell them. Did you feel
like it was more clinical since you are
very clinical? It was very, very clinical. And then, it did come up, oh, so you and Daddy only did that twice. Well, technically, no, not even with Leah, because we had infertility treatments.
Right.
So she's like, my Petri baby. So I was like, I mean, technically, no, just once, Chloe, but no. And I was like, but that's a conversation for a different time. So, and now that they're older, we've talked about this, and we've talked about that if you are going to engage in a partner, male, female, whatever, that the ramifications of that. And so the sex talk takes on a whole nother level when you start to bring in emotions too. Like, I think that's one thing that kind of like made me sad about the talk that Daphne had with her mom, is like her mom completely glossed over the fact that they did have sex more than 8 times because they did enjoy being with her. And I think like, that's one thing that I want to teach my girls is like, it's a very special time between you and your partner. So it's not just for procreation. So,
Yeah. So we've started having conversations with James, obviously not to the degree of like fully what sex is yet. We got him a few books on puberty. He's so cute about one of them. He's like literally reading it from cover to cover and like talks about how to skincare and like it's specifically for boys. So he like asks me questions about it. He'll be like, so do I need to get like a different face wash than like what I'm using in my face? And I was like, buddy, we can totally get you a different face wash. So he started wearing deodorant and things like that. And so like Tom had the conversation with him that was like, look, you're gonna start to notice that girls' body shape is going to change. Like their shape will change. Which he's already got girls in his class that are wearing bras. Like that's happening. Cub Scouts, we have girls wearing bras.
Yeah.
And so, he's like, the shape of their body is going to change. It's very important that you, as a boy, as a man, do not comment on that. Do not draw attention to it. Do not make fun of them. You don't stare at them.
Yeah.
What they wear, what they choose to wear, that is their choice. And the way you gaze at them is on you.
As a mother of girls, God bless your husband for that. Like 10,000 points to Tom. Gryffindor wins. Yeah. So
Oh, he's a Slytherin. But anyway.
Fair enough. But 10,000 points to Slytherin. Yeah.
But we've decided from the beginning that I absolutely hate the expression boys will be boys.
Yep.
And you get a lot of that from Bridgerton, right? Like there's a lot of that in this book. Like the boys get to do whatever they want and the girls are supposed to be chaste and pure. And like, you're obviously banging somebody. So somebody isn't. Like,
Yeah.
But I hate that expression, boys will be boys. And a town that in Ohio, Steubenville, they had a case a few years ago where
I remember.
Right.
The whole football team, like, raped
raped a girl.
Yep.
And literally the town was saying things like, well, boys will be boys. And I was like, oh, fucking no, they will not. Boys will be respectful. They will be human. This is not okay. Yeah. So from jump, that's how we've been raising them.
Good.
And James doesn't always, like, he's autistic, so he doesn't always have great social skills. So letting him know that making comments is not okay was very important, because he might say something and not realize that that's offensive because he doesn't know that is. So I'm really not ready for when he starts getting bigger, when both of them start getting bigger, and like the socks, you know.
Oh, I'm so thankful I don't have boys.
I'm not prepared. They're so dirty. The boys are gross anyway. They're just gross.
Yeah.
And I'm surrounded by them in this house, and I was surrounded by them growing up, and like having 3 brothers. Like, I know what boys are like when they're teenagers, and like I just don't want that. I don't want to be a part of that with my boys. Like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know about it. So.
Well, then let's talk about boys and brothers and like Anthony and like.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
segue.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking about it. Right. But like, I think, you know, there's a couple statements in here that you're like, well, no shit, she's not married.
Right.
With the statements you make. And like in the book, it was, or in the show, it was her first season. And in the book, it was her second season, which is just like, oh my gosh, you know, she is a second seasoner and she's not married yet.
Right.
But then like the more you read, it's like, well, no wonder. And then like when the 3 brothers show up at her married house, oh, hell to the no.
Like, I love that they all came in like, we're like, going to cause problems. We're going to be men.
Our sister. Excuse me? No. She's been married for 2 months. No. She is the Duchess. Like, no. Yeah. Yeah, that. But I was like, yeah, no wonder. It's, I mean, family's important, but then like, seriously? So.
Right. I thought it was interesting that the show added something in that I thought was interesting. So you have the guy in the book, I cannot think of his name, but Daphne ends up knocking him out, right? So he's like being inappropriate with her, and she like
Nigel.
Slugs him. Nigel, yeah, Burberry,
yes.
So she slugs him. He gets knocked out. Simon swoops in and, you know, saves the day or whatever. But in the show, her brother Anthony basically tells her she's going to marry him, and then he gets more aggressive with her. And Anthony is like, no, you're doing this. And I thought that was interesting that they added that in, because it's not as explicit in the book that the brothers are the problem.
Right.
But in the show, it's like Anthony is throwing his weight around as the Viscount, and this is my sister, and you're going to do what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
Which, for that, because I don't like the women as property thing.
Yes.
But I thought that was interesting that like, I actually really liked that storyline from the show.
Yeah. I liked the whole, like, and this is like totally probably we'll just talk about it on the show, but the whole that the second brother was like
in the arts community.
Yes, in the arts community. But like I didn't get any of that from this book. So yeah, but we can
but I don't think he's actually gay in the books, which I don't really think he is in the series either, right? Like, he dates women, but like
he just likes to explore. Yeah.
I know. So he's not, so far in the show he hasn't been with a man though, right? He was kind of like
he was kind of
taking
like
it back
thinking
by
it, but
yeah,
he was I don't think he ever acted on it. Okay. So yeah.
I always wonder what would happen if someone in the royal line was gay, and then like red, white, and royal blue like lives rent free in my mind. So that I'm always like,
I love that you say, "What if something would happen, honey?" There are.
I know,
people.
But like,
they're just not out. Like, let's be honest.
Okay,
there are.
But I want to know. I want to know the inside story. I want to know.
I mean,
yes. Well, Elizabeth's sister, her husband was bi.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
also learned
I guess he wasn't
from The Crown. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. But but actually that is factual. Like, he had a baby with his throuple. Like,
oh really? Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, that actually just came out recently. Maybe like within the past 5 years, she had a DNA test and confirmed that was her father. That was her actual father.
That's bananas. I love the Brits.
I know.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, children too. Speaking of children now, we can go into the next question too.
Yay!
You're just setting me up for all these segues.
You would think that it was because like I was actually trying, but I'm not.
It all works out. So like one of the big points of Bridgerton, of The Duke and I, is that Simon can't have kids. So then it comes out that yes, he can have kids. He is choosing not to have kids. So how did you feel about that? Knowing like, knowing your knowing your own struggles with fertility, my own struggles with fertility, having your partner willfully withhold.
Yeah.
Like, what are your...
I mean, it was completely dishonest. Like, it was very dishonest of him to not explain that it was, I do not want to have an heir. This is something I have chosen. Yeah. And instead of saying, I don't want that, he said, I can't. And those are two different things.
Yep. Yeah.
But what she did after she found out the seed was
so
very
shady.
Inappropriate.
Yeah.
So she basically sperm jacked him. She basically raped him.
Yeah.
Like, he's in the show, he's like, Daphne, what are you doing? Stop. Yeah. And she keeps going, right?
She like buckles down on him. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And in the book, he's intoxicated
drunk
and can't really give permission, and she does it anyway.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's really funny that she feels that he is hard in his sleep, and she's like, I didn't know that could like just happen. Like, you have brothers. How do you have so many brothers and you don't know that? Like, you just, they wake up like that. They wake up like that at the age that my kids are. When my oldest brother was probably about James's age, he came downstairs completely freaked out. It won't go down. It won't go down. And honestly, that's actually how I potty train my boys, because when they're babies, it's erect when they have to pee. So I would just look at it and I'd be like, go pee. Yeah. Huh. So when you're potty training boys, pro tip, have them be naked in the house. Just not in public. And then just stare at your son's penis a lot.
It's not weird. It's not
weird. And then when it's erect, he has to pee.
I am so excited to hear the clips that Tom's going to take from this one. Between dragons and rape and staring at your son's penis. It's going to be...
I always look forward to them. He always cuts those first for Molly and I.
Yeah.
Secrets of the pod. He cuts those first and sends them to us before he puts the episode together. And so we always get to preview them. And I laugh so hard every week. That's awesome. I'm dying.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So after Daphne sperm jacks him, I do like that term too, by the way. I've never heard of that before, sperm jacking.
That's what they do to animals in the zoo.
Is it called sperm jacking?
That's what I call it.
Oh, okay. It's like, if I Google this, so like our neighbors a couple doors down. Not on Chloe's computer either. Oh my gosh. She would be like, what were you looking up on my computer? She'd go to type in some of her weird anime and sperm jacking comes up. She would have a stroke. So, anywho. This is what you get when you raise teenagers. So, yeah. So, Simon bolts, right? Rightfully so. He's, like, pissed. Like, and he just, like, deuces. So, then she just, like, rolls merrily along.
Right.
And, like, I guess I understand that at the same time. But on the flip side to that, why didn't she go after him? Like, she knew she was wrong.
Because she got what she wanted.
So selfish.
So selfish.
Yeah.
And the show does it different, because in the show, she's not actually pregnant. She doesn't get pregnant that way.
Yep.
But in the book, she is pregnant.
No, she gets her cycle, like, late.
Oh, she does?
Yeah.
Why did I think...
let's see here. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because she's out, like, riding a horse, and he's like, what are you doing riding a horse pregnant?
Yeah. And she's like, my cycle just came. So, yeah.
First of all, did nobody understand about cycle tracking back then? Like, was that not...
Hello, like, it's called your lunar cycle for a reason. Every 28 days.
Like, I feel like
moon. Yeah.
She knew it was late, so how did she not? Maybe she just didn't know at what point in the cycle she would be fertile, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, she had such an in-depth, gross baby-making talk that, it's hard to say. So, yeah. All right. So a couple more before we get to the Netflix.
Oh,
of course, the happy ending. Simon
Yeah.
realizes he's truly in love with Daphne
Right.
and forgives her sins. They give birth to
Right.
3 beautiful girls and then a son and live happily ever after. I put, is this gag worthy or swoon worthy? I'm team gag worthy.
For sure.
I like
For
a
sure.
happy ending, but I hate a cliched happy ending.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
oh, we fought. Oh, your brothers threatened me. Oh,
Right.
now we're happy.
I just felt
So.
like I'm going to say this again. If this is your genre, you get what you came for.
Yep.
But it isn't either of ours. There's no dragons or fairies for you. And there's no witty banter for me. So
nope.
It's not going to be something that we're going to enjoy.
Yeah.
Molly liked it, but Molly likes historical fiction.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It was full of cliches. It was the wanting glances. It was the, oh, will they, won't they? Of course they will. That's what we're here for.
Right.
I just really didn't. It wasn't there for me.
Same.
But I will say, even with the cliches, I didn't think the writing was bad. Like, I didn't think it was poorly written.
Yeah.
Like, I'll use this as an example time after time. Twilight is poorly written. I love that story, though.
Such a good... The whole series is one of my faves, too. Like, it's shit writing. But it's so good. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
So, this wasn't poorly written. It just wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah. And like you said, if it's your jam, though, because it is well written, maybe you're like, oh my God, I love this book and I love these characters. But if it's not your jam, it's not your jam. But, maybe the person who absolutely adores this book would be like, what the fuck with dragons and fairies and all the other shit that we enjoy. And they were like, oh my God, I loved how descriptive they were. And I think, one thing that kind of bothered me was, I know this was historical fiction. And I think this is why I like Outlander too, is because they do give you history and they talk about like what's going on and the clothing and the way the world and the food, and it uses all of your 5 senses. Culture. Yeah. Whereas this one, I felt it was set in the Regency era and the language was of the Regency era and all that, but I didn't get that like clothing.
Immersed.
Yeah. And I was like, I could have used a little more of that too. Like that would have been helpful to have.
And I think that's where the series gets it right.
Yep.
But one thing I want to say, and I know we're going to talk about the series next. So one thing I want to say is I think that if you're like us and you saw the series first, this book would be a disappointment. And I have a feeling that a lot of people read this book before it became a series. But after it became a series, they republished it with a new shiny cover and they gave it an extra epilogue. And I think that the people who are like us that were coming for that drama that you get from Shondaland are going to be disappointed.
Yes, agreed. And I mean, obviously, it was a successful enough book and series for Netflix to pick it up. It wouldn't have been successful prior to that. They don't really pick a lot of no-name stuff.
Right, absolutely not.
So, but it just wasn't, just wasn't it for me. So
me either.
Yeah. All right, so we'll do Netflix versus the book. And I put, this is mostly notes I took during reading. So, like, I had my phone beside me and I was, like, writing notes.
Nice.
So, first one, Daphne is the diamond of the first season, the spectacular jewel to be shown, sparkled, and worshipped. Second book, she's almost a spinster at age 20.
Yeah.
So, how do you did you like that twist that it was the second one, or do you feel like it added to the story?
I thought it was weird, but it kind of made more sense as to why she would need people to she would need Simon to help her get attention.
Yeah.
Because she was in the show, they spin that Anthony is the problem.
Yes.
But I missed the Queen.
I said that.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Hold on. It's on there too. Next one, Featherington Dad, dead in the book, Gambler on the Netflix. Does this add to the overall story? I loved the Featherington mom and the Featherington girls.
Cold.
I love her. I love that whole storyline, and I was so bummed that it wasn't, because that was one storyline that I wanted to see more of in the book, was the Featheringtons, because the dad does like leave him destitute. And so I wanted more of that storyline. I was like, she's not even in it. Like,
I really didn't like the fact that the pregnancy story wasn't in the book.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if that's in any of the other books because I haven't read any of the other ones, or if Shonda was like, we're going to add this in for drama. That. But it was such a great addition.
Loved
it was such a great addition. And I was like, where is that story?
Right.
Where is that story?
Same. Where is Eloise? That's like Eloise I know she
like
has a whole
little book in the book.
But I loved Eloise. Claudia Jessie is amazing. I loved her storyline. I loved her writing. I loved her banter. I loved her super sleuthness, trying to figure out who, what's the, oh my gosh. Who's
Lady
the one
Whistledown?
Whistledown, yes. I loved that whole, and I was like, where the hell's Eloise? Yeah. And they just touch on her. I was like, this is lame.
Yeah, she's friends with Penelope in the show, but she and Penelope are not the same age in the books.
No.
And I missed Eloise too. Yeah. I loved when Eloise came in and was like, how does one get pregnant without actually being married? And everyone was like,
right? What? Yeah.
What's happening right now? And of course, the woman who plays her, what's her name again?
Claudia Jessie.
She's much older.
Yes.
Than
she's like in her 30s.
What she's supposed to be on the show.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably a good thing, because my guess is that since I know the next season is going to be Penelope and Colin, I think Eloise will be the season after that. Although maybe what's the B brother?
Benedict.
Maybe he'll be next. I think in the actual series that Anthony comes second and then it's Benedict, but they're doing Colin and Hen.
See, I love that because the woman that plays Penelope, she's in Dairy Girls, which is one of my favorite shows. Like,
I haven't watched all of it, but I've watched some of it.
Oh, it's so funny. So good. So I want my kids to watch it. So
I'm just happy to see someone who is a normal body type be a love interest.
She's gorgeous too. Like,
she's beautiful.
She's amazing, and she is smart, and she is wonderful. And that's one thing we can talk about too. Like, I love the cultural diversity on the show.
Oh, for sure.
I love that Regé-Jean Page is, biracial. I love that the queen is African American. I love that Lady Danbury is black. I love that the cousin on the Featherington cousin is biracial. I love all of this because it adds to the and beauty of the show.
Too. Yeah, they explain it too. What's the aunt? Simon's aunt. What's her name? Lady whatever.
Lady Danbury.
Thank you. She explains it in the first season of the show that one of our kind married the king.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're made way for all of us.
Yes.
And I thought that was such a great way of explaining it, because you do have the people who are like historical purists, right? So they don't like things like Hamilton because that's not the history, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, this is the second time I've said this sentence this week. These white men are dangerous. Like, it's nice to have some changes.
These white men be dangerous.
Like, that is the most honest thing that ever came out of Disney's, is these white men are dangerous.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
But yeah, like the queen, that was one thing that I
missed her a lot. They're making a spinoff show about her. It's her and Violet and maybe Lady Danbury when they were going through their Regency stuff.
Yes, I am here for this.
I know.
110%.
It's going to be amazing.
Did you watch the second season yet?
Oh, yeah. I watched the first season again so that I could watch the second season. Because, I maybe had forgotten it. So,
yeah.
I think when the third season comes out, I may need to watch the first two again as well. Maybe. It's not like they're completely different stories each season. I might need to rewatch it.
I mean, I'm not going
to
argue
important.
with you. Yeah. I loved the Indian sisters in the second one.
Oh,
they were
beautiful. Actually, I read an article. I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it, but if I can, I'll link it below. But I read an article about how that was historically accurate because because the English owned
India
at the time. Yeah. There would have been ladies from India that would have come to Regency activities in London.
That's
So I
cool.
thought that was really kind of cool that they included that. And of course, just the perfect foil for Anthony. Just perfect for him. Yeah.
Yes.
And, there was a lot less sex in the second season, and it was a slow burn. More so than the first season. The first season, it took a few episodes before they got married, and then they started having sex, but then they had a lot of sex the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But, the second season, they only have sex the final episode, maybe episode 2. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I definitely missed the drama that was in the show. And like I said, I haven't read the other books, so maybe there's more drama in the books that come. But I don't think so. I seriously doubt it, just based on this one.
Are you planning on reading the other books?
God, no.
Same. No. Yeah. This is a one and done. So, which is unusual for me. I really am one that will stick with a series, even if it's shit. Because I feel like the writer puts forth the effort, and I really want to
did it with the magicians, though.
That's because that one was horrible. Horrible. That main character is such a whiny, snivelly bitch of a man. I cannot. It's true. He's just horrible.
I really liked it, though.
I'm glad that you did. And I know there's a lot of people that do.
Though. That book series is very pretentious. It's like using big, smooty words just because it can. I don't really usually like books like that, but I did like that one.
No.
And there's magic and fairies in that one.
Yeah, and there's shape-shifting and all kinds of stuff, and I still didn't like it. And I think,
I don't think there's dragons, though. I didn't think there was dragons.
Part of that
there is in one of the later books, but you don't know that.
I am a diehard lover of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Classic. I have all of them. I've read the entire series multiple times. One of my all-time favorites.
Yes.
And it was a cheap rip-off of it.
Yeah.
So
it was definitely inspired by it. Everyone was, when the show came out, everyone was calling it Harry Potter for grown-ups. That's not Harry Potter for grown-ups. No, it's the Chronicles of Narnia for grown-ups.
Yeah. No, it was not for me. It was not for me. So, all right. So you said you're good.
The third or second book has a crow that talks, and Quentin just keeps going, "Are you from Fillory? Are you from Fillory?" And he keeps ignoring him and never answers him.
The narrator wasn't my favorite either. So
I liked the narrator.
Yeah.
I mean, he was appropriate for that book.
Yes. I will have to say, speaking of narrators, you listened to the audio of this, or did you read it?
I did. I listened to the audio.
How was the narrator on this? Because I read the book.
I don't.
Nothing stood out.
I needed to hear the voice from the show. Yeah. I needed to hear
Julia Andrews.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh my gosh, how do you forget her?
Mary Poppins, for Christ's sake. Insulting our youth. You're killing me. Yeah.
Anyway, the Queen of Genovia.
Yeah. Princess of Genovia.
Well, she was the queen.
That's right. The pears. We love the pears.
I needed her voice because the voice I got wasn't it for me. Also, the book is written in third person, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't usually prefer that, especially in romances. I want the first person account.
It was third person, sort of omniscient, sort of not. I felt like I was like, okay, well, what else is going on? Can we get from everybody's perspective where it was more than
right?
But yeah, I feel like when it is third person, I need to know everybody's point of view. Yeah, because
I don't want third person limited. You might as well just write it first person. That's
exactly.
Nonsense.
Yep, because I don't want.
You just made it harder on yourself too. It's harder to write that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like first person the best. I think it would have been interesting to see this purely from Daphne's point of view. So
I agree. But will you continue to watch the series?
Yeah.
Since you're not going to... Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I am really excited to see Penn and Colin this season. Yeah.
Me too.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I just want the costumes back and the wigs.
I really like what they do with the music too. That they use modern pop music and they rewrite it.
That is there's a whole what are their names? something symphony. It's 3-word symphony. Shoot. I have them on my phone because I like to listen to them when I'm like trying to study, because it's familiar tunes. So it makes those synapses fire and helps me remember things, but I don't have to try to compete with the words.
Yeah. I liked the arrangement for the Taylor Swift song.
Yes.
That they did this past season. That arrangement was so beautiful. And like you and I both were musicians in high school.
Yeah.
Like, we both played an instrument. And so I'm hearing this classical sound, and then I'm like, fuck, that's Taylor Swift.
Right.
And I was just like, my brain was here for it. I loved it. Like, it was like a cool vibing moment.
Vitamin String Quartet is their name.
Vitamin String Quartet.
Yes, and they're so good. And they cover a ton of different stuff. And it's just, it's like, it hits the synapses real nice. Makes it,
I like that.
Makes all the serotonin release. So, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, did you have anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to talk about...
I think so. Okay. I'm super excited. And I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, so next week, maybe Molly will be back.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I will be at least talking to Francesca Zappia about this book, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And this is not a book that Chessie wrote. It's a book that she loves. It's also a book that I really love. So I'm so excited to talk to her about it because, like, I love books. And side note, I was in the library all day today by myself in the children's department. Nobody came in and asked me for help until 3 o'clock. So when they came in, I was like a little eager beaver. I was like, what can I do for you? Let me find you.
I would have been like,
all the books.
Can I help you? I'm trying to read. Like, leave me
I have
alone.
a lot of work to do today, so I did my shit. But anyway, so she loves this book. I love this book. This book was made into an HBO Max series. We'll talk about that next week.
I'm super excited. I'm going to read it this weekend before the pod on Sunday, before the pod on Tuesday.
Yes, I'm excited for it. So then we're going to do 2 more books this month. But I just want to let everybody know that because Molly is sick, there's a chance we might have to skip a book this month. So if we do that, we'll tack it on to the end of the season. We just need to give Molly time to feel better.
Yes.
She's not bouncing back as well. She said this on the pod before, but she does have an autoimmune disease. So, she has difficulty bouncing back. So we had the same thing when she had COVID earlier this year, and we just make it work.
Yep. And we need our Molly. You and I need our Molly.
I really need her, yes.
We need her back. We need the group chat. We need because you're like...
Yeah.
You there?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and because our group chat dynamic is so different when she's not there. Like, just you and I, like, we need Molly. We need her snarky comments, and we need her Slytherin vibe, and...
And the whole fear of her husband reading the group chats. Let's be honest. I was like, also, please do not scroll up.
Matt, Molly's husband, grabbed her phone and texted us to tell us that she was okay, that she loved us, and that she was okay, but she was not able to text. And Katie was like, don't scroll up. Don't scroll up. Don't scroll up. I was like, yes, that's not advisable.
I need you to be able to look me in the eye the first time I actually meet you in person, Matt, so I don't scroll up.
Listen, he listens to this pod enough that I don't know that I'm going to be able to look him in the eye the next time I see him.
Hey, how are you? I'm good. So much fun. All right, well, thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me host.
Thank you so much for doing this, Katie.
Fun. Yeah.
Oh, it's so awesome having you on. And we are going to have you again next season, season 4.
Yes.
Katie's coming back. She's going to she's actually going to guest host again. My brain frazzled, but she's going to guest host again. What was the book called we were going to cover?
Luckiest Girl Alive.
And that is a new show or movie on Netflix starring
Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis.
Jackie from That 70s Show. Yeah.
I was going to say the girl from That 70s Show.
Yeah.
Brain is done. Anyway. All right. Thank you again, Katie. I love you. I will talk to you on group chat and probably tonight.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on Book Besties with special guest co-host Nurse Katie Alexander. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly, April, and Katie, not of those of anyone else. Today's book was The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. Your book besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins. Editing by Thomas Watkins. And music is Sleep Sweetly by Prigida. Don't forget to follow Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. If you would like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com or visit our website at bookbestiespodcast.com.